and welcome to my 517 Follow Friday series. Today, I have the pleasure of hanging out with Katie Krick.
Mhm.
Katie founded Pick Me Up Box to deliver period positivity to women as they go through the process of menstruation. Pick Me Up Box is a periodic subscription box designed to deliver connection, support, and celebration for all of these women. Katie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me and talking about periods.
Yeah. So I've watched a lot of your videos. There's some on your website, some on social, and we've talked about this a little bit, but direct from the source, I just want you to share with viewers just how you set out on this path to develop this box for women.
So there was a day that I was on my period and I was standing at my toaster, buttering my toast, and it just hit me uh, the magnitude of what my body was doing in the background of my life.
Yep.
Like, I cannot believe I am just buttering toast like nothing is happening, when in reality my entire body is not rebelling, but is like performing a function that is miraculous and insane and so big and affects everything. And it was during kind of the tail end of the pandemic. So I was home much more. And I was also noticing how much my body was changing around all of my cycle, not just when I was actually on my period. I think because I had slowed down,
Yeah.
right? And so I was able to notice things more. And I was just reflecting on how huge and impactful my period truly is in comparison to how it's treated by other people and how I treated it myself. They just didn't match up like I thought that they did or thought that they should. And so that kind of led me to have those discussions with friends. And I really just felt like I just want somebody to acknowledge what I'm doing. Like, I want somebody to acknowledge how enormous this is. And that led me to try to find a subscription box that I could buy for myself that didn't deliver tampons or pads,
Right.
but just delivered that acknowledgement and validation and care in a box. I couldn't find one. And so I made one.
Love that. We acknowledge so much of what women go through to get pregnant, and
Right.
you can't have one without the other. So
You can't.
why are we not acknowledging that a little bit more? I'm never gonna butter toast the same way again.
That's hilarious. But it really is true. It's like,
Yeah.
as long as you are performing a function that benefits humanity
Hmm.
very overtly, then it will get a little bit of support. But if what you're doing doesn't seem directly tied to the
Yeah.
collective good, it's just not valuable. And that's so, so not true. And I think we're trying to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. Society really has taught us that we have to keep this process to ourselves, even though it's completely natural.
Well,
We
totally.
shouldn't talk about it.
Totally. And I think that, I mean, if you look at sort of the historical waves of, I guess, feminism, but also the history of work, right? In order for women to truly participate in the economy, um, we had to basically pretend like we don't
Right.
have periods or children or
Yeah.
anything that makes us different than men and therefore difficult to accommodate. And
Yeah.
I've thought about this a lot. Like, okay, so we don't want our employers to have to accommodate for us because it is a breeding ground for discrimination. Like, why would I hire a woman? Because then she does all these things. But then I'm like, wait a minute, who's accommodating who?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
time to flip this script a little bit more. And
Yeah.
I think with the pandemic and truly with men needing more flexibility as well and becoming a
Hmm.
bigger part of their family life in the face of their employers, it has opened the opportunity for honesty, no matter what gender you are. And now we're in a different place where we can talk about it more openly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the tampon commercials. Something you just said made me think of some of those tampon commercials where, like, we should go play tennis and just pretend like we're not actually having a period and go swim laps and just live our life to the fullest. It doesn't matter what our
Yes.
body is going through. And then you get all the commercials about Midol and PMS. And
Mm.
I just feel like the service that you are putting together is really helping to kind of combat that stigma around what we're going through.
Thank
Um,
you. You're right. It's like either your period is ignored or it's presented as a problem.
a joke.
And it shouldn't be either, right? It shouldn't be
Yep.
either thing. It's not a
Yeah.
liability and it's not something that isn't happening.
Right.
So what happens in our own experience is when we align the reality of our physical with our emotional and our mental, what
Yeah.
happens is that we end up actually healthier, happier, and more productive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching this other video recently. I feel like it might have been a comedian, but I'm not 100% sure. But she was talking about how researchers had found that the pain that some women go through during their
I
cycle
saw that.
is like a heart attack. It's the equivalent of having a heart attack. So I don't know if this is real. I I I guess I feel kind of blessed. I've never had what I think to be that level of pain before during my cycle, but there are some women who are just completely shut down. I mean, the pain that they go through is
Yeah.
crazy. So I'm curious, what have you heard from other women, whether they're subscribers or not, about just that what they go through during this time and how severe it really is?
It's nuts. And the thing that is the most upsetting to me in terms of advocacy is that those experiences are truly indicative of something that deserves more support, right?
Mhm.
So the body is not designed to have cycles or have periods that create a need to be in bed for 3 days. And
Yeah.
there should be more solutions to that. And there are some medical interventions that can help, but that needs to be developed more, right? Women's health
Yeah.
is so far behind. We think of women's health as, very political and not just about the
Mhm.
whole woman, the whole body. But periods should not be that way. I mean, there are some women who truly can't get out of bed for 2 days. My sister-in-law has a very interesting story. She was kind of an early supporter of this idea. And for years, her cycles, I mean, like they were not just physically debilitating, they were emotionally debilitating. And so she was doing a really deep dive into research about how can I address this in my life. She found a book. I wish I remembered the title. I don't. I'll add it to this later in the comments. But my brother and sister-in-law read a book together about this, and so
Mm.
she tried this strategy of 2 days before her period started, she would basically take a sick day and basically rest in bed completely, not do anything, not work around the house. She had or my brother took care of their child completely by himself, and actually preventatively resting before she had symptoms
Hmm.
transformed her cycle and transformed
Wow.
their household. So not every woman's story is going to be that easy, easy to
Right.
fix. But there are women and when we think about, okay, so 5 days of the actual period and 5 days of the PMS, which means that
Mhm.
basically half of the month, you're really dealing with very dramatic symptoms.
Yep.
It should not be that way. And women's health really needs to catch up so that women are not suffering like this.
Yeah. And for the women who don't have a really consistent cycle, I think there's this mental game that we go through as well. Like, oh,
Mhm.
my period's going to start soon, and maybe the symptoms haven't really hit you yet, but you're expecting it. And I think that anticipation, the expectation impacts us as well. It really does turn into half of the month of waiting for it and expecting it, starting to have symptoms, going through it, coming down from it. It's a lot. It
Well,
really
yeah,
is.
and then probably too, when you don't exactly know when it's coming and you're experiencing like a heightened emotional state or an emotional
Yeah.
low or whatever, then you're like, are these feelings real? Are
Yeah.
they not? But the fact is, if you're experiencing them, they are real.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
We have internalized this messaging that just because we're
Mhm.
having a hormonal spike, that means that our feelings are overreactions. And actually, I have a new perspective on this too. I think what's happening is that we tolerate a very high level of nonsense from our
Oh,
own
yeah.
lives and the people around us. And when we are experiencing heightened hormonal states or depressed emotional states, our tolerance for that is just lower. It's not that we're overreacting, it's that we are underreacting a lot of the time, and we're just more honest.
That makes
That's my own
sense.
theory. I'm not a doctor.
Love it. Absolutely love that. So there was another video that I thought of when I was putting together my thoughts for talking to you today. So, we talked a little bit about like the physical side of things and what's talked about, what's not talked about. I want to touch a little bit more on kind of this the social aversion maybe
Mm.
to the whole topic. So there's this video, I feel like maybe you've seen this one as well if you saw the other one. It's like this social experiment where they have this girl, a young girl, who they place out in public somewhere, and they stage it as if she has like bled through her pants. And
Oh,
then they videotape to see if people will actually go up to her. And so I've seen a couple different
what
versions
a
of this
brave little
video.
actress. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
absolutely. And I don't know if it's real or not. I feel like it maybe it is, but um, they see whether or not men or women will go up and say something to her. And if it is real, I'm really frustrated at the number of women who you will see visually acknowledge what's going on and will just walk right on by. And then usually they'll get one woman who will go up and show compassion and say something to her. And I feel like too many people are embarrassed to talk about this. Makes me think of Lizney from Helping Women, period. And I spoke with her a couple of weeks ago. I know that this won't line up with when the video airs, but I spoke with her a couple of weeks ago, and it's just really frustrating to hear about this period poverty that so many women and young girls face every month. So can you talk a little bit about kind of that social aversion that you've either experienced or that you're hearing from other women, and how your service is supporting helping women, period, and helping to combat that a little bit?
Sure. I set out imagining that within every box would be a QR code that women could scan, and then they could record a video of themselves answering questions. And then we would compile the videos into the website and kind of create this community. And I still want to go there with it, but I haven't gone there at this point because it's been astoundingly difficult to get women to be willing to talk about their period experiences. Like the question would be like, tell me about your first period, or tell me about your worst period. I asked some of my closest, most feminist friends, and some of them said they just couldn't. They would write it, but they couldn't record it.
Wow.
Yes. Now, I do think this is a generational thing, right? Like we inherit these
Yeah.
generational patterns.
Yep.
And another observation I've made is that basically, I have not yet spoken to a woman in her 50s about her period whose mother or father, right, told her anything about her cycle. Most women in their 50s and 60s who I talked to, and 70s, about their periods had no idea what was
Yep.
happening to them when their period hit. So that's a real piece of grief, I think, that we're holding within our cellular memory about our own bodies. And because their parents told them nothing, their first periods were extremely traumatic. They thought that they were dying. They thought that they had cancer. They thought that they had an injury. And so
Yep.
when their daughters had their own cycles, right, they might have told them what it was, but
Right.
not offers, right? So we're getting better. We're getting better every generation, but it's slow. It's very, very slow. And because of that silence and that shame surrounding cycles, there's certainly been a lack of advocacy in the public sphere. And again, going back to what I said before about accommodating women's bodies,
Yep.
it's politically and economically viewed as something that's a woman's issue, something that's personal to take care of.
Yep.
But we stock toilet paper in bathrooms without any problem. Like we don't have to bring that with ourselves
Mhm.
everywhere that we go, but because men use it,
Right.
so
It's not
this is
just for
all
one
leading.
gender.
Exactly, right? Like if men whose bodies are the norm need this product, then everyone gets it. Which is such trash. So period poverty is a huge issue. And my particular area of passion relates to girls in school. So 1 in 4 girls in Michigan has missed school because of her period, and more than one time. So if we are talking about educational equity and professional equity, and we're not addressing this very obvious, very natural thing that's keeping girls from learning, then we're
Mhm.
not looking at the whole issue. So
Yep.
Helping Women, period, has been a huge supporter of my company from the very beginning. And the first day I was talking about this, Lizney was with me talking about it. So we are donating 10% of profits to Helping Women, period, so that we can kind of keep aligning our missions. And I certainly hope to do more than that as we grow, because that's what it's all about.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing that. I hate that it's necessary.
Necessary.
Um,
I
I didn't realize until I met with Lizney that we still don't cover menstrual products under SNAP benefits. And
Bonkers.
I
There were
I
taxed as
don't
a
get it.
luxury product until like a year ago. I mean,
Yep.
it's
Don't get it.
crazy.
It's
And so if you
disappointing.
are living, I don't want to say living in poverty necessarily, because even if you're not at the federal poverty level, you still are probably struggling in
Oh
your
yeah.
household right now, right?
Yep.
So imagine if you only have a couple of pairs of pants.
Hmm.
These girls can't risk going to school and staining one of the only pairs of pants
Yep.
that they have.
Yeah.
And so it just creates this whole thing. It's so sad and so
Yeah.
frustrating. And so I really hope, like my 13-year-old stepson and I talk about periods pretty openly. And part of my goal is like, if he sees a young girl who has blood through her pants, I hope he tells her. I hope he
Yeah.
offers her a sweatshirt. I hope that he helps her get what she needs and doesn't. And I do think that he will. I really, really do. I mean, I say that like I'm so proud of him, but that's how he's being trained and raised. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that your boys would do the same. It's a matter of talking about it to boys no less than we're talking about it to our girls.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've tried to be open and talking with the boys. They'll see my products around the house, and um we've always been really open with terminology and just like body stuff with them. Sometimes to our own detriment, as far as, using certain words and talking about certain
Mm,
things in public. But I feel like we're getting there with them, that um, we're talking about that process, and I feel like they kind of understand that, at least the older one understands that it's connected to procreation. So
good
um
job. It's
yeah,
tough.
it is. So, okay, let's lighten things up a little bit. Let's talk about these boxes.
Sure.
What are we putting in the boxes? As I was telling you before we started recording this morning, I finally got around to subscribing. So I have no idea what's going to come in my first box. I'm super excited. So yeah, tell us about what kind of things to expect in the boxes and where you're sourcing the products from.
It's been so fun. I've been surprised. My favorite part is finding the products. It really is. It's been quite a privilege to become aware of how many woman-owned businesses are out there now to source things from. So, um, as much as I can be sure, I don't demand paperwork from them, but as much as I can be sure, everything in the box is fair trade. And the majority of the products are also from women owned businesses, which means that, of course, the quality is higher and the price
Mhm.
point's a little bit higher too.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's okay with customers, but it's just really important to me to be socially minded and also keep an eye on waste as well. So the boxes themselves don't come in any other packaging. They just have the shipping label to keep them closed, and then the box and then the product. So we're not having a lot of packaging waste. In the products in the box will be always a piece of chocolate, sometimes two, and then usually one other consumable good like a tea or something that kind of supports the body physically, as
Yeah.
well as an artisan good. The first box had tea, candle, a face mask in it, a necklace from an artisan in Haiti, and then chocolate as well. And then the last box I put out had similar things. I'm really excited about the third box as well coming out. So it's always changes a little bit. Right now, there's no customizing available aside from the number of products in the box. So I have
Right.
light, regular, and super.
Hmm.
And then as we grow and as we scale, I'm hoping to have options for like allergy friendly, gluten free, that kind of thing too,
Yeah.
because I want everybody to be able to participate in enjoying the box.
Love it. I was surprised at how customizable the delivery options seem to be. You can
Oh,
like
thank you.
pick, how long your cycle is. And obviously, there's going to be some give and take on delivery. It's not always going to be right on the day that you start your period, obviously. But um, when I signed up, I was impressed that you're able to do that. And I feel like that means that you must be like packing and shipping boxes every day.
So it's been such a fascinating exercise in how we organize and just how our technology even is masculine or gender neutral, right? Like nobody is thinking about e-commerce from this perspective,
Right.
period. It has taken 12 months to get this project off the ground.
Wow.
And probably 6 months of that has been trying to figure out how to make this work along the cycle of the customer. I
Right.
hope that we can continue doing it like this. I really, really do. But right now, when customers go to checkout, what they see is a calendar drop down, and they can choose when their period is going to be starting. So normally when you order something online, you will say, okay, like I order it today, and the shipping date is triggered by your order date.
Right.
But somebody might order today and not have their period for 3 more weeks. And so we have to hold the order in a queue. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, there's nothing out of the box that does that, no matter how many website plugins you have. So it's been, and I'm still refining it and trying to get better. You know, you launch a product when it can do what you promise it can do, not when
Hmm.
it's not when your side of it is flawless. So
Right.
it has been some manual processes internally to get that to work, but so far I haven't made any mistakes. And we're working on it, because for me, some customers don't care. I have some women who are like, just send it and I'll just hold it until my period starts. Probably half of them say that because I'm asking. The other half are like, no, I really want it to come when my period starts because that's part of the
Right.
fun, right? So yes, I have a whole like process where I'm packing and shipping and just trying to make it work for now to observe what creates the most impact in the customer base. Hmm.
Oh, the logistics. Ooh,
Yep, it's a lot, but it's been fun and worth it. And
that,
yeah, we're learning. Entrepreneurship is, and you know this, you started business from scratch too, and then you had business coming out of your ears. I mean,
yeah.
you got to build the airplane while you're flying it sometimes.
Oh, yeah. And you've got to be willing and able to adjust on sometimes daily, just depending on what comes your way. So you've got to be
It's
flexible.
Yes, you do. And that was something that I really wanted for my own career, right? Like coming from the insurance industry, one of my biggest frustrations with it, even though I enjoyed the work itself so much, was how long it took to deliver something. I mean, it can
Yep.
take months to deliver, especially commercial insurance policies. And it's just like, whoa, my God. So being able to change on a dime has been actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have any feedback from subscribers that you want to share for anyone who's still kind of deciding whether or not they want to sign up?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I had a couple of subscribers that when I sent out like, surveys or whatever, they just posted reviews. They're like, I am like looking at my watch, wondering when my period's gonna start.
But
And
in a good way.
yes, another woman said, it really does make a difference, which
Oh,
is great, right? Or like, this truly is a pick me up that I wanted. And just
right.
that's kind of like the lighthearted nature of this, where like on the one hand, I have this deep need and passion for advocacy,
Yep.
for cultural change. And on the other hand, I just want you to have a better period. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that's really like already that has been almost the easy part. My customers are like, it's kind of is fun. Like one of my customers said, you know what? My period started, and instead of grumbling about it and just moving through my day, I stopped, I opened it up, I put the face mask on, I took
Oh,
15 minutes, and I kind of got into my own power. And it
yep.
really did help me have a better day.
Right.
You
That's great. I can
know?
tell how passionate you are about it, but I can also tell how happy this is making you to be able to do this. And not that you weren't happy before doing insurance, like you
No,
were
but there's a
always
difference. I feel different.
so, I don't want to use the word pleasant because then that just sounds like not real, but you were just so wonderful to be around, even in the insurance industry. But that you're a different person now. You are.
Oh, I have been surprised at how often I hear that from my friends and people. And it's like, I think when you are doing life and you generally are blessed with good relationships and good health, like you pretty much think you're doing okay.
Yeah.
And, but then if you are privileged enough to take a leap of faith, if you do make changes to follow your dreams,
Yeah.
man, you just
Hmm.
like I'm seeing different colors. Like the first day that I sat at my desk and I kind of like set up my ideal space visually and had my ideal day with exercise and prayer time and all these things.
Yep.
I opened up my computer and my notebook and I just cried. I just sobbed and I was like, what? I'm crying. And I don't know, it was this like cathartic
Hmm.
shedding of the old, shedding of the uterine lining. Like just like we're just shedding here and stepping into a new phase. Like, I am so happy. I'm so happy. And I think part of it was grieving the years of my life where I thought I was happy
Mhm.
and I wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
that feeling. I do because
You had
since
this very similar story.
yes, I mean, just since starting this business and everything that I've gone through, it's been tomorrow will be 3 years licensed.
Oh my
Next
God.
month will be 2 years licensed, on the 3rd, and then next month will be 2 years for the firm. The everything that I have gone through every day, I get that feeling like I am clearly on the right path here. This was what I was supposed to be doing. I
Mhm.
love my job. I love everything that I'm doing. And so I can resonate with that. It's something that I wish everybody could experience.
Oh my gosh. Same. I don't take it for granted. I truly don't. Every moment, like, wow, this is wild. And
Mhm.
entrepreneurship is a lot of things. It can be really lonely. It can be really
Yep,
scary. It can be really frustrating. But it can also be very rewarding. And I think people for whom that path is the right path, nothing
yep,
else fits.
yep, absolutely. We need to start like a entrepreneurship social something for all of
So,
us women entrepreneurs who are lonely with no coworkers and we just get together.
right, especially the extroverts. Usually, if you're an entrepreneur, you typically are also an extrovert. So it's kind of like an ironic
It
change of
is.
life to make. I've been doing
Yep,
some work dates with friends, and that has helped a lot. But there are some we'll talk about. We can sidebar some cool other groups I'm looking
absolutely.
at joining in. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. You're so awesome. Thank you for doing this and giving of your time. I know how
Yeah.
much you're helping other business owners with their legal needs, but also things like this. And it really is
Yeah.
making a difference in the community. You're the
I
best.
love doing it. I love being able to get with you guys and just talk about what you're doing and help advocate for your businesses and your causes and yeah. Is there anything else you want to share today? Is there anything I haven't touched on or do you have any events coming up, anything like that?
I do have a cool event coming up, actually. The Greater
Okay.
Lansing Area Moms, the Glam. They
Mm-hmm.
have a magazine and they do some interviews with moms in the community. They
Yep.
have their Summer Glam Jam is coming up.
Okay.
I believe it is Wednesday, November. What am I saying? Wednesday the 21st.
Oh, yep.
And it's an evening event, so like 3 to
Okay.
6 p.m. It's like a summer vendor festival in East
Okay.
Lansing, and they were so sweet. They reached out to me through LinkedIn or no, through Instagram and asked me if I'd have a booth. So I will be there.
Nice.
I'll be selling individual boxes there in case you
Okay.
aren't ready to be a subscriber yet, but also subscriptions. There's other cool vendors that I think some of them you've had on your show too will be there too. So that'll be in a
Okay.
couple of 3 weeks. I'd love it if you would come
Awesome.
out.
Okay. All right. So I will share all of your contact information in the caption for the video. And if anybody is just feeling like they're getting through it every month and they want a better, more supportive experience, you should go to pickmeupbox.net, check out the subscription options. And then if you're interested in being featured on my Follow Friday series, you can send me an email at katrina@cornerstonelegalplc.com. Thanks for watching.